Hey guys, hey, it's Dr. Jere here with Mills Chiropractic and Wellness Center, and we're doing a webinar series on what we're calling digital dementia. It's dementia-like symptoms in adolescence caused by the overutilization of technology. Symptoms like inability to concentrate, inability to focus, brain fog, confusion, memory impairment or impaired memory recall, and lack of concentration, coupled with poor lifestyle choices. And so in our previous episode, we talked a little bit about neuroanatomy and kind of what happens up in the brain from a neuroanatomical standpoint when we interact with technology. Today, I want to dive down into a little bit of the neurotransmitter aspect of what happens with technology when we interact with it. And specifically, we're going to talk about dopamine. Dopamine seems to be one of the big things that gets stimulated when we interact with technology. Now, dopamine is very complicated, and there's no real, like all of this, I'm trying to make it simple, and while accurate, not completely overwhelming at the same time. And that's kind of how we're going to talk about dopamine too. Dopamine, we tend to think of in general terms as being the feel-good hormone of the brain. It gives us, those feel-good interactions that we get from accomplishment, from love, lust, whatever the case may be. What we're getting is a dopamine release. It's also the hormone of addiction, right? So the drugs that people get addicted to, one of the common reasons they get addicted to the different drugs like cocaine or methamphetamines or even alcohol is because it releases dopamine up in the brain. And so people, seek that out. They seek out that hormone, and it's part of what that hormone is designed to do. But again, it's a little bit more complicated than it's just a feel-good hormone, right? Because we need dopamine for lots of things. One of the things, dopamine, of course, one of the conditions when we have a lack of it is like Parkinson's. So, and Parkinson's is primarily a movement disorder, right? And so we know it plays a role in that. It plays a role in ambition. It plays a role in focus. So it has all these other things. But when we talk about technology, one of the things that I want you to understand is that, it is a neurotransmitter. And when we interact with it, we're raising that dopamine level. We're also raising it in brains that are still developing. And this is really one of my big concerns is, like I said in one of our previous episodes, the brain really develops very rapidly at 2 points in time, from 0 to 3 years of age and during our teen years. Well, as teen brains are developing, and there's a lot of neuroplasticity and a lot of rewiring going on, if they're doing that in this soup of addiction, which is really what social media and technology for a lot of teenagers has become, is this addiction, this constant little trickle of dopamine being released by their interaction online or even playing games, and that sense of accomplishment. If you pass that level, if you beat that guy, if you win that race, whatever games they're playing, they're getting that little bit of dopamine release, but they're doing it in unnatural ways. They're doing it while sitting, not necessarily interacting with real live nature or real live human beings. And how that's going to rewire the brain is the experiment that we really just don't know. But we do know that part of what technology does and what the app developers, the ones that write all those apps or game developers, what they're after is a slow dopamine release so that people keep coming back for more. That's what it's all about, right? And so anyway, I just wanted to kind of dive into a little bit of the neurotransmitter piece of it, understanding that as we dive deeper into this and we start looking at practical solutions, because just telling somebody not to use technology is probably not a real practical, but we're going to look at how to set some boundaries and guidelines, but also understand that there is an addiction taking place with technology. And it's happened to you guys as adults, but it's happening. My concern is really with those brains that are really still just developing, that are not quite as mature, and that rewire so easily. How are they going to do in that environment with these elevated addiction hormones floating around? So anyway, keep that in the back of your mind as we continue to dive through this digital dementia issue. Until next time, stay healthy, stay well.